guys, Donna here at Hazelbell Farm, and I'm in the garden. It's January and the temperatures are approaching 60 today, and I'm ready to garden. So I cleaned out all of my beds. I have kind of some blank slate spaces, and I'm ready to get some stuff in the ground. Now, we are not expecting our last frost until the middle of March, so I'm not planting any warm season things. But I am planting some things that I know I can get away with now. And even if we get a hard freeze, they will be okay, or it's a limited amount that I can protect so that they will be okay. So I want to plant two main things today. The first are potatoes. You saw how we chip potatoes in a previous vlog, so I will link that down below. And those are ready to plant. So I have an empty bed for that, and I also want to plant some sweet peas or some little green peas. I know this is not the most flattering light in the middle of the day, but it is when I have time to come out and plant and show you how I do it. So I have here, I'm actually sitting on my little garden cart with the little handle to pull. And I'm going through this book, Plant Partners. It's a new to me book. I just bought it a couple of months ago. And it came recommended on another YouTube channel, and I can't remember which one. I wish I could remember where I saw it. At the time, I was really looking for specific books that I wanted to keep on the shelf for reference in all things homesteading. So gardening, canning, preserving, other specific things like keeping sheep or bees or whatever. And so this one came up, seemed like a really good resource to have. I'm really picky about the books that I do keep because I don't keep stuff. It's clutter to me, and I don't like to frequently clean out things and just stuff. But this is one that seemed worth keeping, and I'm glad that I bought it. So it goes into a lot of detail. So this is the book. It's Plant Partners, and it's by Jessica Walliser. And if you can see these 4 reasons the book is written, it's amazing. And then they have a little example here on the front: nasturtiums deter squash bugs. So it's an excellent book. I have been able to come out and go through the index and see, like, I want to plant these sweet peas and potatoes. I have them sitting over here ready to go, and so what is going to go well with those and why? So some of the reasons that they list in here why certain plants might companion well together are for weed control or pest control, nitrogen fixing, all kinds of different reasons why they would go together. And so I like that because I am then able to decide if it's worth it or not. So one of the things that's supposed to grow really well with green peas or sweet peas are oric, which is like in the spinach family. And we don't do a lot of spinach here. Another one in that same family though would be Swiss chard, and we don't do a lot of that either. My family just doesn't care for it as far as a green goes. And then there are some brassicas that can kind of fit in that category as well. And so what I've decided to do for the peas is I do have a little bit of oric seed. It's old. I'm not sure how well it's going to germinate, but I'm going to throw it out with the peas. And then I've got some other good little brassicas. I'm going to try some tatsoi. Let's see what's in my pocket here. So this is what tatsoi looks like. It's beautiful when it grows. Oh, I have some Casper kale. I bought a couple of years ago. It is a white kale. It has a little bit of variegation in it. It's a textured leaf like your red Russian kale, and so I'm excited for that. I just spilled a few seeds. My seed pack was open. And then I've got the oric. It's actually in a Ziploc bag. And I think that's all for what's gonna go with the peas. With the potatoes, I'm going to, so green beans are supposed to do really well with potatoes, and I've actually grown them side by side before, not because I intentionally did that for the purpose of companion planting, but just because that's how my dog is, she's on patrol in the garden. she distracted me. But the green beans and potatoes I've grown together in the past, it just worked out that way with the way the beds lined up. And we did get bigger potatoes that year, and we had an excellent yield on both of those things, potatoes and green beans. So what I'm gonna do, I have one whole long bed here where we grew peanuts last year, and I'm going to, which is a legume, and technically your green beans could be considered a legume also, but I think it's gonna be okay. I'm going to plant my potatoes down the middle of that row and save room on both sides, if I have room, for green beans. Now I won't put the beans in the ground for a few weeks still because they are gonna be frost tender, and where if frost would just take them out. So one of the things this book mentioned was it's okay to plant your potatoes and then your green beans a few weeks later. So we are about 6 weeks out from our last frost, our average estimated last frost. Now that might change. If we get to the end of February, the 1st of March, and our long-term forecast doesn't show any frost in the forecast or freezes in the forecast, I will probably go ahead and start planting out my warm weather things like the green beans. So, and that's something that I will direct seed right in the ground. You could start those indoors early if you would like, but I don't see the point in that. Green beans don't like their roots to be messed with too much, and so I've always had really excellent luck at just direct sowing those right in the garden beds where I want them to grow. So let's get started. I'm excited. It's like the first warm weather planning kind of gardening I have going on, and it's exciting. Okay, since I have a trellis up here, I'm going to plant this side, or I'm going to plant peas here. So what I have here are all kinds of different, this is how I keep my seeds. So this is my peas bucket. I have all kinds of different peas in here. I actually have a pole bean that doesn't belong in here. It belongs in the green beans. So I think I'm going to start with these. It's this Top Notch brand, and it is a Sugar Snap vining pea. I bought these at my local Ace Hardware last fall, I believe. And I'm going to put these, this is a cattle panel along here, so I'm going to plant these with, and it has a vertical bar every about 6 to 8 inches, and so that's perfect spacing for these peas. I'm going to plant one on every vertical space on this side. So I'm just going to barely punch them down into the ground. Most seeds need twice the width, to be buried by twice the width of the seed. So if this is the size of my pea, if it's say 1 millimeter across, you want to plant it 2 millimeters deep. So here's what that looks like. Just punch them in, not too deep. I really like these cattle panels in place for reasons like this. You can see in some places where we had tomatoes on here and peppers on here. Okay, so that's a good bit of peas. So this entire trellis with every vertical space, I didn't count, I don't know how many that is. And then I've got about half of this trellis, and I could put up some more trellis space, and I've got some over here. I could plant some more. I'm trying to think if I have anything else that climbs for winter, and I don't think so, but I do want to leave some open spaces so that when the overlap time comes, when we're transitioning from the winter to the spring garden, that I have space ready to go for things like tomatoes that need a trellis, pole beans that need a trellis, and that kind of stuff. So I think that's all I'm going to do for today on these green peas. I might change my mind later and end up succession sowing somewhere else. We'll see. That's the fun of gardening. So now I'm going to do the potatoes, and that's probably the real reason that you're here. So this first bed is the one I'm going to use. This is a dead moringa tree. I don't know if it's going to come back or not. I'm going to leave it like it is for now. But we will do potatoes. I think I changed my mind. So I was thinking I'd do potatoes down the middle of the row and then do green beans on either side later. But I have so many potatoes, I think I'm gonna do potatoes do 2 rows of potatoes near the outsides, and then I will plant green beans down the middle. I don't know, the green beans might not get enough light that way. Okay, here's what I decided to do. On that empty row where we had peanuts last year, we'll do 2 rows of potatoes. Now your potatoes really need a good 12 inches apart to be able to produce well. Otherwise you're gonna have a low yield per plant with either less potatoes or smaller potatoes. So then what I think I'll do is when it's time to plant green beans, I'll come right along the middle and plant green beans here. So that'll be a bush style bean that does not need a trellis. I still have a lot of potatoes left. So this side, so we just planted some green peas on this side of this trellis. I'm going to come back and do the mixed greens along the base. This side doesn't have anything planted currently, but these potatoes will fit in here. Looks like I have a little bit of a spacing issue down here. I'll have to sort that out before they go in the ground. And then when it comes time to plant green beans, I will do a pole bean on this side so that they will be able to climb this trellis that's already here. So I think that's gonna work nicely for me. Okay, so real quick, if you saw the potato chitting video, this is what they look like. It's been 3 days, I think. So they're not wet anymore in here. They're scabbed over. And this is what you want before you bury them, otherwise they just rot, unless you didn't cut them. If you're planting them whole and they're not cut, then they're fine. If you did cut them, you need to give them a couple of days of cure time before they go in the ground. And you can see like where the starches have come out there. So these should do very nicely. So I'm gonna go ahead and plant these. I'm gonna plant that oric and tatsoi and all of that where I planted the green peas. This is how you want to plant this. So I can see the eyes here that are sprouting. There's one there, there's probably gonna be one there, but these are the strongest eyes. So I'm going to dig my hole. Just a small little hole, it doesn't have to be deep, probably 6 to 8 inches. And I'm gonna plant with these eyes facing up to give the plant a better chance to get started. Pack my dirt down. Everything's gonna get a good water. When you're planting seeds, you need to make sure that they stay damp and moist until they sprout and germinate. And even then, obviously you wanna keep watering, but if they dry out at all before they're finished germinating, then they're all gonna die. So you don't want that. So I think that's gonna be it for today. Stick with us, we have a lot more gardening content coming up. I've got some sheep content coming up, and then we'll be back to milking cows before you know it. So thanks for watching. If you liked it, I hope you'll subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.